Chapter 5, The End of It All, Part 2, Subchapter 1, Getting That Shit Done. Up and down the elevator, 3, 4, 5 times, I don't remember. Each time I entered the garage, I scanned for changes, any unfamiliar cars or anything out of place. At this point, paranoia was my only ally, my tool to keep you boys safe. I knew the police were coming. They were close, maybe just around the corner. I needed to move faster. I unscrewed my license plate. Better to have no license plate than to have one that could be seen by every camera in the city. I transferred my hiking gear and my secret stash of diamonds into the car. About 250 carats of flawless top-quality stones, roughly 100 stones in total. I'm no expert on their exact value, but this treasure was tied to my life in China and a story involving the famous theft of the bronze dragon head from the old summer palace in 1860. I will explain more in another chapter. I had often regretted not exchanging these diamonds for hard currency years ago, but regrets are for fools who dwell in the past. Footnote 26. Truly, if you live with your head in the past, how can you really enjoy the present or dream of a beautiful future? How many people walk around with anger in their stomachs, living and reliving the past? Yes, the past is full of mistakes and failures, but why dwell in the past? Humans are so weak. Animals have a more peaceful existence. We are blessed with self-awareness, but we waste the gift of life on unproductive ruminations. Not sure what it means? Look it up. We return. Now these diamonds would serve a purpose. I also emptied my safe and grabbed as much cash as I had on hand, which thankfully was a large amount, as the use of credit cards was now an easy way to be tracked. We left the house. I had no time for sadness. Focus and diligence were all that mattered now. Nothing could be forgotten. No second chances. You were laughing and playing in the backseat while I drove. I told you we were going on a long holiday together. I lied and said we would travel as a family. You believed me. The sedatives I gave you earlier began to take effect. I saw you both yawning in the rearview mirror. When we arrived at the tattoo parlor, my heart was heavy, twisting in sheer agony, as I knew I would soon be watching the needles bite into your skin. I had paid extra, a lot extra, to ensure the tattooist and his assistant worked quickly and discreetly. Regardless, the process felt excruciating, not for you, but for me. Occasionally, I raised my heart rate deliberately, making physical contact with your hands and faces. Sons, this is what I've been doing for 20 years, channeling what I call the pulse. By increasing my heart rate and touching someone, I adjust their urges, desires, and even more. I hated myself for doing this to you both, but I needed you calm, relaxed, and absolutely compliant. The tattooist noticed my cut hands and the fresh blood. He asked me about it, and I lied, saying I had an accident. I worried. I knew the police would eventually come to the shop, question him, and maybe even piece things together. But by then it wouldn't matter. I would be gone, and you boys would be on your way to France. Both of them worked quickly, but their unease was obvious. I made small talk, but it was pointless. What type of a monster tattoos young children? Why the tattoos? And why were they nearly identical? Simple. If one of you didn't survive to read this book, the information would still remain intact with the other. I couldn't afford any mistakes. From the moment Agong hung up the phone, my mind has been in overdrive. Every move had to be calculated, every contingency planned. The tattoos were finished. As we left the shop, I noticed the assistant on a phone call. He was probably reporting me. It didn't matter. I had to stay the course. We had some time to kill before you needed to get to the airport in Pudong. I wanted your last memory of me to be a happy one. I wanted to relive some of my happiest moments with you both. Old habits die hard, I've heard people say. I did what I knew best. I drove to Charlie's Burger on Changshu Road and picked up all your favorites. I then took you for your last picnic at a park slightly off the beaten track. We spent 1 hour there. You were still very groggy from the sedatives. I knew the risk. I knew we were being hunted. But I needed this one last memory of you both. I smiled and laughed, but my heart was in pain. You were so young, so oblivious to the torment I was experiencing. You knew nothing about the monumental change coming to your innocent lives, and there was nothing I could tell you. As we returned to the car, I knew that my life was secondary now. Somewhere between the paranoia, hatred, and overwhelming sorrow, I decided to write this book, my words to you from the grave, as it were. Ensuring that the knowledge in my brain reached your eyes, that was now my only mission. If this did not happen, my entire existence on this planet would have been wasted. I dared not enter the airport. Cameras were everywhere, watching every move. I said goodbye in the car, choking back the emotions I couldn't afford to show. I told you I would see you in France, that family would meet you and take you to our new home. I handed the contract carrier extra sedatives for you both and an enormous cash tip. As I pulled away, the tears came uncontrollably, streaming down my face. I didn't want them to stop. It was raw, unfiltered emotion pouring from a man who thought he had left his humanity behind. I blamed myself for everything, every decision, every failure, every moment that brought us to this. I hated myself. And I still do. They were coming for me. I could feel it. There was no time to waste. I knew what I needed to do, but the weight of it was crushing. I was on the run. I love you boys so much.